Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm the All Hallows Geek, and welcome to This Week in Eek, my weekly series where I put a little eek in your week by recapping some of the top stories in Halloween and horror news from the last week. Well, have you watched it yet? I'm of course talking about Stranger Things 4, the highly anticipated fourth season of Stranger Things, premiered to a record-breaking weekend with over 286 million hours viewed, making it the biggest premiere weekend ever for an English language series on Netflix. And it wasn't just here that it was big. The fourth season took the #1 spot in 83 countries around the world. And if that wasn't enough, the hype behind the series generated enough viewership to bring all three previous seasons of the series back into Netflix's top 10 last week. That is freaking crazy. All that said, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies and goodness when it came to Stranger Things, especially when it comes to the Stranger Things universe. And that's because with the release of Stranger Things 4, the show's creators have unwittingly made it so that two of the Stranger Things comic book series, they're no longer canon. And if you were unaware, Dark Horse Comics has been releasing Stranger Things comic books since 2018. And the first series basically retold the events of season 1 of the show from the perspective of Will Byers while he was in the Upside Down. And then in 2019, Dark Horse released a 4-part prequel series titled 6 that told you the story of one of Eleven's fellow test subjects, 6. So the series then spun off into another 4-part series titled Into the Fire that picked up several years after the events of 6 and featured some of the characters from the previous series. So you would think if the show's creators and the series comic writer Jody Houser had partnered on a series about a subject named 6, you might be mindful of that character and their story arc when flashing back to times at Hawkins' lab, right? Wrong. Unfortunately, Stranger Things 4 seems to have forgotten about the events in 6 and in turn created some continuity errors in the Stranger Things universe. Now, I've got to warn you, there are some major spoilers here for the comic book series and some light spoilers here for Stranger Things 4. So if that's an issue for you, you might want to fast forward a bit. Otherwise, here we go. So here's the thing. The events in the comic book series 6 mostly take place in the year 1978, 1 year before the events we see unfold in the opening moments of Stranger Things 4. And unfortunately, at the end of the series, here comes the spoilery part, 6 is murdered by a trigger-happy security guard who basically blasts her while her and 2 other subjects are escaping Hawkins' lab. Needless to say, 6 is no longer part of Dr. Brenner's program. But in the flashbacks of Stranger Things 4, the character shows up twice. First, in the moments just before the massacre at Hawkins' lab, we see Dr. Brenner working with Subject 10 on some of his lessons. At first, Brenner asks 10 to figure out what he's drawing on a concealed piece of paper, and he's using his psychic abilities. But then he opts to make things a little bit harder and asks him to use his psychic abilities to locate another doctor in the lab and then tell him what she's doing. And his response? Lessons with 6. Now, if it ended there, we likely could have looked past it. But see, things get a little worse later in the series when 11 is reliving some of her past memories and partakes in an afternoon of telekinetic shoving matches. So in this scene, Brenner has his subjects square off. They're fighting against one another using their telekinetic powers and trying to push one another out of a circle drawn on the ground. Subject 2 is the reigning champ, and he'll ultimately face off against 11, but guess who his first opponent is? Yeah, that's right, it's 6. Needless to say, this introduces a huge continuity error in the Stranger Things universe, and I really don't get how they messed this up. The series was literally called 6. You could have used any other number. Hell, back when you told Jody Houser she couldn't use 1, and now we know why, you couldn't give her the same respect and not use 6? It just doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. But that said, thankfully the next book being unleashed from the Stranger Things universe, they can't screw it up. And that's because it's the first ever Stranger Things Little Golden Book. The 24-page book titled We Can Count on 11 teaches kids to count using waffles, walkie-talkies, demogorgons, and Funko Pop versions of your favorite friends from Hawkins. The new book is set to be released on July 5th but you can pre-order yours now through Amazon or wherever books are sold. And one more quick note about Stranger Things before we move on. You might have heard that after using the song for a major plot point in Stranger Things 4, that Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill hit #1 on iTunes, and her album Hounds of Love actually trended alongside Kanye West's True Love on Spotify. So if you just discovered the song, or like myself are a longtime fan of the song, I did put together a compilation of 5 of my favorite covers of the track, which you can check out now over at allhallowsgeek.com. And speaking of comebacks, Chucky is back at Scream Factory. This week, Scream Factory announced that the first 3 films in the Child Play franchise would be getting a 4K Ultra HD release in North America. The all-new Scream Factory releases mark the first 4K UHD releases of the 3 films here in the US and will be available as standalone releases or as a series of exclusive bundles that include things like exclusive posters, postcards, and even a limited edition charred Chucky action figure from NECA. The 3 films are set to get their 4K released on August 16th, but if you want to get all the details on pre-orders and bundle options, be sure to head over to my full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com. And while we're on the subject of Child's Play things, this week NECA wrapped up its Monster Mayhem online product reveal event with one final toy reveal, Master Splinter as Van Helsing. The latest figure to be revealed from its Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets Universal Monsters line teases the Ninja Turtles' father figure as the vampire hunting badass, complete with crossbow, stakes, and even some garlic. Unfortunately, no further details were announced with the tease, so we'll have to wait a little longer to find out when and where we'll be able to get the figure. And Monday kicks off the return of Geeked Week, the week-long virtual event celebrating all things genre entertainment at Netflix. This week, Netflix shared new details on the event, including where to tune in and what series, film, and other surprises they have in store. Being held June 6th through 10th, fans can tune in across all of Netflix's major social channels, including YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook. The event will feature sneak peeks, trailers, cast panels, surprises, and more tied to each day's theme. Monday will be All Things series and kicks off at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and among the shows you can expect to see featured are The Umbrella Academy, The Sandman, Resident Evil, First Kill, All of Us Are Dead, and more. And if you're wondering why I didn't mention Stranger Things, that's because Thursday is fully dedicated to Stranger Things. And on Tuesday, the fun continues with All Things movies. Among the titles being featured are the Jamie Foxx vampire action flick Day Shift, Killer Book Club, and Troll. And rounding out the week is animation on Wednesday, Stranger Things, as I already mentioned, on Thursday, complete with a Stranger Things 4 Volume 1 after show. And then on Friday, it's going to be All Things Games, where they're going to be talking video games, game-related media, and all things games. So if you want to see all the details, including complete lists of titles and start times for each day of the event, head over to my full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com. And in other streaming news this week, Discovery Plus announced that Jack Osbourne and actor Jason Mewes are teaming up to hunt for Bigfoot in a new Discovery Plus special. In Jack Osbourne's Night of Terror, Bigfoot, Jack Osbourne of Ozzy Osbourne family fame and Jason Mewes of Jay and Silent Bob fame are trekking deep into a remote region known for its Bigfoot activity to search for evidence that the infamous cryptid exists. The series will premiere on Discovery Plus on Sunday, June 26th, and let's be honest, whether you believe in cryptids or if you even believe that Jack Osbourne has any kind of paranormal chops, you can't deny that these two will be entertaining to watch. And if that's not enough Jack Osbourne for you, Travel Channel and Discovery Plus have announced the June 30th return of Fright Club, featuring Osbourne along with the Ghost Brothers. This second round of frightful fun sees the four resuming their hilarious competition to creep each other out with the craziest paranormal videos they can find. And this time, they're bringing some friends. The upcoming second season, which will premiere on June 30th at 10 p.m. on Travel Channel and same day on Discovery Plus, will feature special guests like Howie Mandel, Jason Mewes, and Jamie Kennedy. The new season returns with 10 all-new episodes, with new episodes airing each week. That's it for this week. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, leave me a comment, or better yet, subscribe to make sure you always get your weekly dose of Geek. For more information on any of this week's top stories, you'll find links to the full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com down in the description below. Until next time, keep it creepy.